Mia had always been different. Even as a child, she looked at the stars with a hunger that no one else seemed to understand. While other kids were content with toys and games, she would sneak out at night to lie on the roof of her house, staring at the sky, tracing the patterns of constellations with her finger. Her eyes always held a spark, a silent promise that she was meant for something more than the small town she lived in. People often called her dreamy or strange, but to her family she was simply Mia, the girl whose laugh could brighten any room and whose silence could weigh heavier than stone. That evening the air was unusually still. A gentle wind rustled through the trees, whispering secrets no one could hear. Mia's parents were busy with dinner, unaware that their daughter was sitting by her window, staring out at the horizon with a mix of excitement and fear. She had made a decision, one that she knew would change everything forever. Her heart ached at the thought of leaving her family, her friends, and the only world she had ever known, but a deeper part of her knew that she could not stay. The universe was calling her, and she had to answer. Her bag was packed neatly on the floor. Clothes, personal items, and a small notebook filled with sketches of stars and planets she had never visited. She looked around her room one last time. Posters on the walls, pictures of her childhood, the little things that made her life familiar, they all stared back at her silently. She felt a lump in her throat. Leaving was not easy. Leaving without saying goodbye was even harder. But there was no turning back. When she stepped outside, the night was quiet, almost sacred. The shuttle waited at the edge of the town, a sleek silver craft that seemed alive under the moonlight. It hummed softly, a sound that felt like it belonged to her alone. Her fingers trembled as she brushed her hand across its smooth surface. This was it, the moment she had been waiting for. She inhaled deeply, trying to steady herself, but her heart raced like a drum in her chest. She thought of her parents. Her mother would worry endlessly, packing the floor, calling her name. Her father would sit in silence, hiding his tears behind a stoic expression. She had no words to soften the pain of her departure, no explanation that would make sense. Not yet. The truth of what she was about to do and the world she would see were beyond what anyone could imagine. So she left quietly, slipping into the shuttle like a shadow. No goodbyes, no final hugs. Only the sound of the engines waking up and the soft hum of anticipation. As the shuttle lifted off, the ground seemed to fall away beneath her. The trees, the houses, the familiar streets of her town, they all shrank into tiny shapes, disappearing into the darkness. Tears welled up in her eyes, blurring the view of the planet she had always called home. She felt a strange mixture of sadness and exhilaration, a bittersweet cocktail of emotions that made her chest ache. Every mile she rose, she felt both lighter and heavier at the same time. Lighter because she was finally free to chase the unknown. Heavier because leaving behind the people she loved felt like leaving a part of her soul behind. The stars grew closer as the shuttle pierced the upper atmosphere. They weren't just dots of light anymore. They were vast, mysterious places waiting for her arrival. She felt a strange warmth in her chest, a feeling of destiny calling her forward. It was as if the universe itself had been waiting for her, ready to welcome her into a story far bigger than her small-town life. Her fingers traced the glass of the cockpit window as she whispered a silent promise to herself. I will return someday. I will make it worth the wait. Down on Earth, no one knew what had happened. Her room was empty, her bed unmade, and her family would wake to a quiet house. The town would whisper about her disappearance, about the strange, unexplained hum in the sky, but no one could ever truly understand. She had left without a goodbye, leaving a void in the hearts of everyone who loved her. Yet as the stars surrounded her and the shuttle drifted into the vastness of space, Mia felt something she had never felt before: freedom, purpose, and a fierce, unshakable hope. The journey ahead was uncertain, full of dangers and wonders she could not yet imagine, but for the first time in her life she felt ready to embrace it all. And so, without a single word or glance back, Mia disappeared into the cosmos, leaving behind the world she knew and stepping into the one she was meant to explore. Years passed since Mia had vanished, and life on Earth moved in slow, predictable rhythms. Yet, for those who had loved her, the absence never fully healed. Her parents often found themselves staring at the night sky, imagining the path their daughter might be taking among the stars. Her childhood friend, Tom, kept a quiet vigil too, even as life demanded attention, even as responsibilities tugged at his time. He would look up at the stars and feel a tug in his chest, as if Mia was sending him pieces of herself, reaching across the impossible distance. At first, it was subtle. Strange patterns appeared in the sky, small, pulsating lights that seemed almost alive. They would flicker at impossible angles, forming shapes that no plane or satellite could mimic. Most dismissed them as atmospheric phenomena or natural reflections, but Tom could feel their purpose. Each pulse, each shimmer, felt like a heartbeat reaching out. He often stayed awake at night, tracing the movement of the lights, imagining that Mia's spirit was sending him a signal, telling him she was alive and that she had not forgotten her home. Then the signals grew stronger. They began to follow him. While walking through the quiet streets, he would notice a glimmer on the horizon, blinking rhythmically, almost as if calling his name. The first time it happened, his heart had leapt, a mixture of fear and wonder rooting him to the ground. Could it really be her? He wondered. His rational mind screamed that it was impossible, yet every fiber of his being screamed yes. The lights didn't just shimmer. They moved with intention, creating patterns that seemed to communicate something beyond language, beyond human understanding. In the nights that followed, Tom began to notice more. Others didn't see it, or if they did, they ignored it, chalking it up to chance. But he began keeping a journal, documenting every flicker, every sequence, every color shift. Each pattern made his heart pound with the hope that Mia was reaching for him, that she had found something extraordinary out there and wanted him to know she was safe. His friends teased him, calling him obsessed, but he didn't care. This wasn't fantasy. It was a thread, invisible to others, but solid and tangible to him. A thread connecting him to someone he refused to lose. Meanwhile, somewhere far beyond Earth, Mia floated among the stars, her shuttle gliding silently through unknown galaxies. She had grown taller, her features sharper, and her eyes carried the calm intensity of someone who had seen more than any human could imagine. The universe had not only challenged her, but transformed her. She had met beings whose minds stretched beyond comprehension, civilizations whose ways of life defied earthly logic, and dangers that had tested her courage. And through it all, she had never forgotten Earth, not her parents, not her friends, not Tom. It was during one particularly quiet night in space that Mia noticed the signals in the distance, tiny flashes that mirrored the patterns she had once sent in her own mind, using a technique she had learned from an alien species capable of long-range communication. Her heart skipped. The signals weren't random. They were deliberate. Someone back on Earth was listening. Someone back on Earth was paying attention. The thought brought a warmth she hadn't felt in years, a tether to the place she had once called home, and a promise that the future would not be lonely. Mia began to prepare for a return, but not yet. First, she needed to be ready to ensure she could protect those she loved from the forces she now understood existed beyond the sky. Earth was fragile, fragile enough to be in danger if the wrong beings noticed her. She knew her reunion could not be ordinary. It had to be extraordinary. She practiced the messages in her mind, perfecting the signals that would guide Tom and anyone who truly cared to her across the unfathomable expanse of space. Back on Earth, the strange lights continued, growing brighter, more consistent. Tom often stayed awake, his eyes red, his hands trembling from excitement and exhaustion. He didn't know why, but he felt certain that something incredible was about to happen. Somewhere out there, someone was reaching for him, someone he had thought he had lost forever. And as he looked up into the night, seeing the patterns pulse like a heartbeat just for him, he whispered, "I'm here, I'm listening." For the first time in years, hope felt real. And somewhere among the stars, Mia felt the same thing, an invisible hand guiding her, pulling her closer to home, closer to the people who had never stopped waiting for her. The universe was vast, dangerous, and unknown, but it also carried the promise that some connections were stronger than light years, stronger than time itself. And in that promise, both of them found courage. The night air was crisp, tinged with the scent of pine and damp earth, when the people of the small town noticed something unusual. At first, it was a glow on the horizon, faint and flickering like a distant firefly. But as the minutes passed, the glow grew brighter, moving in a way no airplane or meteor could. Children pressed their noses against windows, and adults stepped outside, shielding their eyes from the intensity. The sky seemed alive, a living painting of colors, violets, blues, and silvers swirling together in a dance no human had ever witnessed. Then the craft appeared. It was nothing like the shuttles of old, nothing mechanical in the way they had imagined. This vessel moved with grace, almost as if it were breathing. Its surface shimmered in liquid silver, reflecting the moon and stars, yet moving like a living being. The hum it emitted was gentle, soothing, and oddly familiar, like a lullaby the town had long forgot. People fell silent, mesmerized by the spectacle above. Their hearts, which had grown accustomed to ordinary life, now raced with awe and wonder. The hatch opened slowly, revealing Mia first. She was taller now, her posture confident, her presence calm yet commanding. Her hair had grown longer, flowing in the light of the craft like threads of liquid night. Her eyes, once bright with curiosity, now carried wisdom and strength beyond what anyone could imagine. Every movement she made seemed deliberate, every breath measured, as though she were aware of the weight of this moment. But she was not alone. Behind her stood a figure that defied understanding. A woman, taller than any human, with skin that shimmered like molten silver and eyes deep as galaxies. Her presence radiated warmth, wisdom, and a kind of power that was both intimidating and comforting. She moved with a fluidity that seemed natural, as if the laws of gravity were optional for her. The townspeople instinctively stepped back, unsure whether to be afraid or amazed. Yet the air carried a softness around her, a reassurance that she meant no harm. Mia's parents were the first to move, pushing through the crowd that had gathered. Tears streamed down their faces as they ran toward her. Her mother reached out, clutching Mia as if she could hold back the years of absence in a single embrace. Her father wrapped his arms around her, his shoulders shaking as he tried to contain emotions he had bottled for too long. Mia's arms went around them, holding them just as tightly, feeling the ache of lost years and the relief of finally being home. Words failed them. Only their hearts spoke, beating in unison with a love that distance and time could not break. The alien mother, whom Mia had introduced as Aris, took a step forward and bowed slightly. The gesture was subtle but respectful, acknowledging the humans' emotions and assuring them that Mia was safe. Her voice, when she spoke, was musical and soft, yet carried weight. "I am here to protect her," she said. "She has lived among the stars, but Earth will always be her home." The townspeople could only stare, caught between disbelief and wonder. Some whispered, some gasped, but none could ignore the undeniable presence of someone from beyond their world standing before them. Mia looked at her parents one last time, seeing the worry, love, and relief etched on their faces. She knew this moment was fleeting. Soon she would reveal why she had left, why she had vanished without a goodbye, and why she had returned with a being that belonged to another world. Yet for now, the silence said everything words could not. The reunion was perfect in its simplicity, the collision of past and future, the fragile human heart and the infinite universe coming together in one extraordinary night. Above them the craft hovered, its lights pulsing like a heartbeat, echoing the emotions below. The town had witnessed many events in its history, but nothing like this. For once, they understood that the universe was bigger, stranger, and more beautiful than they had ever imagined. And standing at the center of it all was Mia, the girl who had once left without a word, returning to change everything. As the crowd watched, the stars seemed to twinkle with anticipation. This was not just a homecoming. It was the beginning of a story that would stretch beyond Earth, a story where love, courage, and the human spirit would meet the infinite possibilities of the cosmos. Mia had returned, not alone, but with a companion who represented everything unknown, everything wonderful, and everything that might yet change the world forever. The town seemed frozen, as if time had paused to witness what was happening. Mia's parents held her close, unwilling to let go, while the townspeople watched from a respectful distance. Every heartbeat felt louder than usual, each one carrying the weight of years spent wondering, hopping, and fearing the worst. Mia's mother finally whispered her name, voice trembling. "Mia, you're really here." It was a simple sentence, but it carried decades of longing, worry, and relief all at once. Mia's eyes glistened. She had imagined this moment countless times in her shuttle, dreaming of returning home and holding her parents close. But imagining and experiencing were very different. The reality was heavier, richer, more intense. She could feel the years apart in every embrace, every shaky breath, every whispered word. "I missed you," she said softly, letting the words hang in the night air, carrying the weight of everything left unsaid. Her father's voice cracked as he spoke. You came back. I didn't know if I'd ever see you again." He buried his face in her hair as if pressing himself close could erase the years of absence. Tears ran freely now, and Mia clung to him, letting the emotions flow. She had always feared this reunion, feared the shock of seeing how much had changed, feared that words could never repair the space that time had carved. But here, in this moment, nothing mattered but presence. Then Aris stepped closer. The alien mother moved with quiet elegance, her every gesture radiating calm and reassurance. Her eyes, deep and shimmering, scanned the crowd, acknowledging their curiosity, their fear, and their awe. But there was no malice in her gaze, only understanding. "I come in peace," she said in a voice that seemed to echo softly in the hearts of those listening. "I have watched over Mia, guided her, and protected her across worlds. She is safe, and now she is home." The crowd remained silent, unsure of what to do or how to react. Fear mingled with fascination as they looked at a being so unlike anything they had ever seen. Yet there was a warmth in her presence that felt familiar, almost human. Her calm energy began to seep into the crowd, easing tension and inspiring a cautious trust. Parents held their children close, neighbors whispered to each other, and slowly the realization settled in. This creature had come to Earth not as a threat, but as a guardian. Mia stepped forward, taking her mother's hand. She had introduced Aris not just as a companion, but as someone who had become a part of her life in ways humans could not yet comprehend. "Mom, Dad, I want you to meet someone very important to me," she said. Her voice was steady, yet beneath it lay the depth of her emotions, the years of experiences that had shaped her beyond Earth's horizon. "This is Aris. She has been like a guide, a protector. A mother to me in ways I never expected." Her parents stared, trying to process the words, the presence, and the implications. It was difficult, almost impossible, to reconcile the girl who had once run barefoot through their home with the young woman standing before them, accompanied by a being from another world. But Mia's expression, filled with sincerity and love, helped them bridge the gap between fear and trust. Slowly, her mother extended a hand toward Aris, trembling slightly. Aris lowered herself, her luminous hand meeting hers in a gesture of respect and unity. For a long moment, silence fell. Then her father spoke, voice soft but steady. I see why she came back this way. You've kept her safe, haven't you?" Aris inclined her head, acknowledging the words without needing to speak further. There was a mutual understanding, a recognition that life had grown larger, more complicated, but no less precious. Mia hugged her parents one last time before stepping back. She wanted to explain everything, to tell them about the world she had seen, the beings she had met, and the dangers she had survived. But she knew that some stories were too vast to share in a single night. For now, the reunion was enough. It was proof that love, trust, and hope could withstand even the vast distances of space and the mysteries of the universe. As the night deepened, the town slowly began to accept the presence of the alien mother. Aris did not force her way into their lives, but her gentle confidence and protective aura began to ease doubts. People realized that Mia had returned not just as a daughter, but as a bridge between worlds, an example of courage, love, and humanity reaching beyond Earth. And standing between her parents and the crowd, Mia felt the weight of her journey lighten. She had returned, and the reunion had begun to heal wounds she had feared might never close. For the first time in years, the night felt full, not with fear or absence, but with hope, love, and the quiet thrill of a world on the edge of something extraordinary. The quiet of the night settled around the town like a soft blanket, but the air was thick with anticipation. Mia stood slightly apart from her parents, her eyes scanning the crowd that had gathered to witness her extraordinary return. Her heart raced, not with fear, but with the weight of what she was about to do. She had carried this secret for years, nurtured it across light years of space, and now the moment had come to share it. Her gaze found Tom in the crowd. He had changed, of course, grown taller, stronger, but the familiar warmth of his presence made her chest tighten. He had waited, he had hoped, and now he was here. She took a deep breath, feeling the pulse of the universe around her, as if the stars themselves were holding their breath in expectation. Then she turned to the alien mother, Aris. The being's luminous eyes softened, sensing the gravity of the moment. "Are you ready?" Mia whispered. Aris nodded gently, her shimmering form radiating reassurance. This was more than a reunion, it was a choice, one that could alter lives, not just on Earth, but across worlds. Mia stepped forward, raising her voice so that those gathered could hear. "I left Earth without saying goodbye because I had to learn things I could not have learned here. I had to see worlds that most humans will never imagine. But I never forgot this place. I never forgot you." She looked at her parents, their faces pale with emotion, and then at the crowd. "I came back for something important, something bigger than all of us." The crowd leaned in hushed. Whispers spread like wildfire. What could this mean? Some hearts beat with excitement, others with fear. But all eyes were on Mia, the girl who had vanished without a word, now standing taller, brighter, and more certain than ever. Then she turned to Tom, who stepped closer instinctively, his eyes wide with curiosity and longing. Mia's voice softened. Tom, you've always believed in me even when I was gone. You've waited even when it was impossible. Now I need you to make a choice, not just for me, but for something much larger. She motioned to Eris. This is Eris. She has been my guide, my protector, and she has shown me that humanity has a role in something far beyond our world, but I cannot do this alone. I need someone who understands courage, hope, and heart. I need you. Tom blinked, stunned. His mind raced. Could this be real? Could someone, something, be offering him a chance to step beyond Earth to protect not just one life, but countless worlds? He wanted to speak, but words caught in his throat. His heart pounded with a mixture of fear, excitement, and awe. This was not a simple decision, it was the choice of a lifetime. Eris stepped closer, her voice soft yet commanding. Your world has gifts, strengths, and courage that are rare across the galaxy. Humans are capable of extraordinary things when guided by wisdom and heart. I ask you to trust us, to join Mia and through her help protect many lives. This is more than a journey. It is a responsibility, and it is an honor. The crowd gasped. Some whispered prayers, others held their children closer. The idea that an alien being was speaking to a human, offering partnership across worlds, was beyond belief. But Tom felt the truth of it deep in his chest, where courage and love collided. Mia extended her hand toward him, her eyes glimmering with tears she refused to shed. Will you come with us? Will you take this step? Her voice trembled with hope and vulnerability. In that moment, everything she had endured, the years of solitude, the trials across distant stars, the longing for home, converged into a single heartbeat. Tom hesitated for only a breath. Then he stepped forward, taking her hand, feeling warmth and certainty surge through him. Yes, he said, I will go with you. His voice carried across the quiet street, strong, steady, and filled with unwavering resolve. A soft glow emanated from Eris, spreading over the group like a blessing. The town, once cautious and uncertain, now felt the shift, a sense of wonder, hope, and the promise that something extraordinary had begun. Mia squeezed Tom's hand, her heart soaring. The choice was made, the proposal accepted, and a future that once seemed impossible now shimmered before them. Above them, the stars pulsed softly, as if acknowledging the courage of two humans willing to step into the unknown. The universe had opened a door, and for Mia, Tom, and Eris, it was a doorway to a future full of adventure, love, and the boundless possibilities of life beyond Earth. The night was calm, but the air was thick with anticipation. The townspeople had gathered quietly, whispers of awe and fear passing between them like a soft wind. Mia, Tom, and Eris stood near the shuttle, the craft's soft silver glow reflecting in their eyes. This was the moment of decision, not just for Tom, but for everyone who had watched this small town become the crossroads of something extraordinary. Tom's hands were still, gripping Mia's hand tightly. He could feel her pulse, steady and strong, a comforting reminder of the journey they were about to take. For years, he had dreamed of adventure, but never like this. Never with the weight of the universe pressing on his shoulders, never with the responsibility of bridging two worlds. And yet, in Mia's eyes, he saw hope, courage, and trust that he would rise to the challenge. Mia's parents stood close, their faces pale but proud. Her mother's voice trembled as she spoke. Mia, are you sure about this? This path, this journey? Mia nodded, tears shining in her eyes. I've never been more sure. I couldn't stay away forever, and I couldn't return without taking this step. This is bigger than me, bigger than Earth, but I want to bring Tom, and through him, humanity, into something that matters. Her father placed a hand on Tom's shoulder, firm and grounding. You've waited long enough. The choice is yours, but know this, if you go, you carry the hopes of many, not just Mia's. This is not just about adventure, it's about courage, love, and protecting what matters. Tom nodded silently, absorbing the weight of those words. He had never felt so small and so significant at the same time. Eris stepped forward, her luminous form glowing softly in the night. She extended a hand toward Tom, her gesture elegant and sincere. The universe has chosen this moment for you, she said, her voice melodic but firm. To stay is safe, to leave is dangerous, but to leave is also to be part of something greater than yourself. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the choice to act despite it. The choice is yours. Tom looked at Mia. Her gaze was unwavering, filled with quiet strength and an unspoken plea. He felt the years of waiting, the endless nights of hope, and the countless memories of childhood friendship converge into a single moment. He realized that the unknown no longer frightened him, not when he had someone like Mia by his side, not when Eris had shown them the possibilities beyond Earth. He inhaled deeply, feeling the cool night air fill his lungs. The stars above shimmered as if encouraging him, as if they, too, understood the importance of this choice. And then slowly he stepped forward, meeting Eris's hand with his own. "I will go," he said, voice steady and resolute. "I will take this step." Mia's face lit up with relief and joy, and she pressed her hand to his cheek. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice filled with gratitude, love, and hope. "This means everything." The townspeople watched silently, their hearts swelling with pride and wonder. Some whispered blessings, others held their children closer, realizing that humanity was witnessing something extraordinary, a bridge between worlds built not with weapons or power, but with courage, trust, and love. They had feared the unknown, but now they understood. The unknown could be beautiful, and humans were capable of greatness beyond imagination. Mia's parents hugged her tightly, letting go reluctantly. "Be careful," her mother said softly, tears streaming down her face. "And come back to us someday." Mia nodded, feeling the ache of leaving her home once again, but also the excitement of what lay ahead. Her father pressed a hand to Tom's shoulder, a silent acknowledgement of the courage it took to step into the universe. The shuttle's engines hummed softly, a gentle reminder that time was moving forward, that the journey could not wait. Mia, Tom, and Eris climbed aboard, hearts pounding, breaths deep, spirits ready. The stars outside seemed to pulse in anticipation, guiding them toward worlds unknown, challenges unimaginable, and adventures that would test everything they thought they knew. As the hatch closed, the townspeople held their breath. And then, with a soft hum and a glow of light, the shuttle lifted into the night sky, carrying with it 3 souls daring enough to step into the unknown. Earth watched in silence, awestruck, hearts full of hope, knowing that humanity had glimpsed its potential to reach for the stars. And as the shuttle disappeared into the darkness, a quiet promise lingered in the air. No matter how far they traveled, courage, love, and the human spirit would guide them, across galaxies beyond fear and toward a future no one could yet imagine. The shuttle soared silently through the darkness of space, leaving Earth behind as a small, fragile blue jewel. Mia sat beside Tom, her hand clasped in his, and for a moment neither spoke. Words were unnecessary. The hum of the engines, the soft glow of the stars outside, and the quiet rhythm of their hearts said more than any sentence could. They were stepping into the unknown together, bound by trust, courage, and love. Eris floated near the controls, her presence serene and protective. She had guided Mia across countless light years, and now she guided both of them, her knowledge of the cosmos surpassing anything humans had ever imagined. She spoke softly, her voice melodic. "The universe is vast, but you carry within you the ability to make a difference. Together, your choices will shape not only your destiny, but the lives of many." Her words were calm, but they carried weight that pressed on their hearts, reminding them that they were part of something larger than themselves. Tom looked out at the stars, his mind racing with awe and excitement. The vastness of space was humbling, yet strangely comforting. For years, he had watched Mia vanish into the unknown, dreaming of a life beyond the ordinary, and now he was living that dream, walking beside her through worlds that most humans could never imagine. He turned to Mia, searching her eyes for reassurance. She smiled, a quiet, knowing smile that spoke of adventures survived, dangers overcome, and futures yet to be written. They drifted in silence for a while, the kind of silence that speaks louder than words. Every twinkle of distant stars seemed to pulse with possibility, and the galaxies stretched endlessly before them. Yet, despite the infinite expanse, the 3 of them, Mia, Tom, and Eris, felt connected, a small but powerful force in the universe. Here, in this moment, they were not just travelers. They were pioneers, bearers of courage, hope, and the human spirit itself. Days passed as they journeyed further from Earth. Mia shared stories of the world she had seen, the civilizations of beings whose minds expanded in ways humans could only dream of, the dangers that tested her in ways that had shaped her, and the friendships and alliances she had formed across galaxies. Tom listened, awe filling him, realizing that the universe was far more alive than he had ever imagined. And yet, what struck him most was not the wonders she described, but the way she had kept her humanity intact, even when surrounded by beings so different from her own. Eris watched them, sensing the bond growing stronger. "Humans have a resilience and courage unlike any other species," she said one day, her voice carrying a quiet reverence. "It is not strength alone that makes you remarkable. It is your heart, your choices, your capacity to love and protect." Mia squeezed Tom's hand, grateful that he now understood why she had returned to Earth and why she had chosen him. Then came a day when the stars seemed to shift in a new pattern, guiding them to a planet that shimmered with life. Mia's heart raced as she realized their journey was reaching a turning point. "This is it," she whispered. "This is where we begin something new, not just for us, but for everyone who will follow." Tom nodded, feeling the same mixture of excitement and responsibility. They were no longer just voyagers. They were builders of a future where courage, love, and humanity could stretch across the stars. When they finally descended onto the planet, its surface gleamed with possibilities. Strange plants, luminous skis, and creatures that defied imagination surrounded them, yet none felt threatening. Instead, there was harmony, a promise that this world, like Earth, could be protected, nurtured, and understood. Mia, Tom, and Eris stepped onto the surface together, the trio forming a bond unbreakable by distance, time, or fear. Mia looked at Tom, her eyes shining with tears and joy. "We did it," she said softly. "We took the step." He smiled, feeling the weight of fear lift from his chest. "No," he said, "we've only just begun." And in that moment, the stars above seemed to dance, acknowledging humanity's courage and the power of love that could span galaxies. Far across the universe, Earth watched, tiny and fragile, as one of its own carved a path among the stars. Generations would tell the story of Mia, the girl who left without a goodbye, who returned stronger, wiser, and accompanied by beings beyond imagination. They would tell the story of Tom, who had chosen courage over comfort, and of the human spirit, unyielding and brilliant. Together, Mia, Tom, and Eris ventured further, leaving footprints in worlds unseen, hearts entwined, and a promise echoing across the cosmos. Humanity was not limited to Earth. It could rise, it could shine, and it could inspire hope, love, and courage across galaxies. The journey had only begun, but already it had changed everything. And in the quiet glow of the stars, the universe seemed to whisper back, acknowledging the power of humans to reach beyond the sky, to embrace the unknown, and to leave a legacy that would never fade.